Hello. Today we're going to talk about a piece by Ernesto Garcia de Leon. He is a Mexican composer, and usually I'll go on Google or whatever source I can get, maybe Wikipedia, and look up information about different composers, because a lot of times, you can read something into the music from something in their life, which is really good. And it does help. Every little bit helps make a piece great. But there's very little information on Ernesto. However, there is a great deal of music that he has composed for guitar and that is available. And he is, or was, relatively well known in the guitar community. So, anyway, this piece is Mother and Son. That may tell you a little bit. Interesting. And it's for Julie and Zachary, probably mother and son. So we'll just take that out. We don't need that right now. Born in 1952, Mr. Garcia. So, modern composer. That's good information to know. And it is at an andante, which is about a walking pace. All right, so let's get this out of our way for now. So this piece has basically three parts. You've got the melody, which is up here at the top. These are all melody notes all the way through. They're up there. There may be a spot, I'm not sure, later down here that will be take you down. Well, this right here, this is still melody here. All of this is melody. Pretty simple in that respect, that the melody is all across the top. So what does that tell you? That's the most important thing in this piece. If you wanted to just play this piece, you wanted to play one thing in this piece where someone would listen and say, oh, if they'd heard it, they would say, oh, I know that piece. But if you play any other part in this piece by itself, they wouldn't know. So therefore, the melody is the most important part in this piece. Now, and the other aspect is the bass line. The bass line is down here, of course. And what does that mean? Well, to me as a guitarist, I'm going to use my thumb, which is also known as pulgar, which is P, and it's going to play all of these notes. If it's a bass note, if it's a bass note, I'm going to use my thumb for that. So, and they're easy to spot. I mean, there they are. They're down here at the bottom. This is also a bass note, even though it's a rest. But that's very important. That's part of the bass line. So is this. There you go. So we got melody and bass. You can go through and play this piece with just the melody and the bass, and honestly, it sounds pretty good. Is this a bass note here? No. It's an internal note. There we go. All right. That's also a bass note. So we're going to leave all that color colored like that? No, we're going to get rid of it because we don't really need all that. So now we've identified two parts. We'll look at one other, and that is the internal notes. And of course, they're in here. Of course, it includes that rest too. All right. So why am I doing that? It's because I like to organize my right hand according to who is singing the line. All right. So this fingering that's in here, for the right hand, it's good. It's very comfortable, and it can sound really good. Actually, all this right here I keep. but we'll come back and fix all this stuff. So it's comfortable. It's comfortable, but I don't really care if it's comfortable or not. I want it to be musical in nature. All these half notes up here, all of these half notes, all of them, all the melody notes, let's put it that way, are going to be played with my A finger every single time. I'm going to use that A finger on every single one of these notes all the way through. Okay, like so. I'm not going to do all of them. I will do some though, because when I send you this piece, well, I don't know, maybe I should. We're using A, all the way through. Every single melody note up there is A. That is if it's a half note. So A. Yeah, so this is important. It's important that I do this way. All right. Now, we come here to 17 through this area, okay? All eighth notes. Well, you're not going to use your A finger all the way through all that. But he has done a really good job. This fingering up in here is very good. I like it. In other words, A's taking care of the first string, M's taking care of the second, I's taking care of the third, and A's on the first. So it's very organized. And then you get down into this area over here, and you're doing M. So this is second, third, second, first. Still, a very organized approach. And this note right here will actually be an A. All right. Then we come to this little thing right here. We might find another location to talk about this as well. Let me get that stuff out of the way. Yeah, there we go. All right. Right here, I am not going to use P there. I really don't like that. So because it's not a P note, okay? P or Pugar has a certain more dense sound than the others, at least on my hand. So you always want to evaluate things on the sound that you're making, okay? On the sound that you're making. So this area right here, this is going to be A, which it is, and you're going to do another A right here. And this will be M, and this will be I, and it's a slur right here. See that? It's kind of a glissando, because you're using 1 to 1. And it's going to be I, and then this will be M. I think I'm doing A, M, I, M, like so. And then all this over here is good. Let's see. We're over here in this area right now, right here. How did I do that? I'm doing M. Whoops, that's not right. Oops, get this one. M, A, M, I, like that. Yeah, this right here. Totally correct. M, A, yeah, this is right, because this is on the third string, this is on the second, so it's one of those kind of backwards things on the guitar, the way it happens. So we'll move that out of the way. There we go. That's correct. Then we're to the next line, and I've got oh yeah, I did A, M, A, M, not P. That's not a P note at all. That is an I note. Because it's on the third string and this is on the second, so that's M. And I did a crazy little thing here. You have to kind of reach over right here you have to reach over a string, because this note is on the second string and that's on the fourth. So that gives you, you're going to reach over with your I finger. Now, granted, it feels a little strange because you're going to skip over a string to do that, and that makes this M. And then these up here, over here, in this little spot right here, those two are actually totally correct. And then this will be, that's not a P note. Well, that's a P note. This is not a P note. Just because it's on the fourth string. But it does make this nice. I mean, if you were to use P, you use P here, P, I, M, and A. It's very comfortable. But yet again, this is not a P note. It's part of this over here. All right. So this area would be P, of course, and I use I, M, I, and M again. Perfectly fine. Doesn't have to be an A note. So I lied to you earlier. I said I use A on every single melody note, but this is an arpeggiated thing here, or through here. It's an arpeggiated chord. So I'm going to use my finger. I am. And then you get down here to this bottom area down here. You've got the same thing we were doing earlier. There's our melody note. This is all the same stuff. So this is A. It kills me how they expect you to just remember it. And I guess they really do. That's okay, but really, how hard is it to write these back in where you see them? This is P. This will be M, I, M. And it goes again and again and again. And then when we get down here to the end, not much is new until we get to right here. So this is B. This would be M, I, M. And this is an A note. And this is not a P note, okay? It's not a bass note because it's that internal voice. How can you tell? One way to see it is there's a rest here. That's an internal rest. That's for this line. This line, nothing's happening there. But this is, and this is a part of this over here. Now, how important is that? In the way that the piece is going to sound, I'm not going to say it's not that big of a deal. It will sound nice to most people, but you want it to represent something really, really, really grand, because that's what it is. So it helps to keep your thoughts organized about what you're doing. So this last note right here is going to be an I note. Once I click on that and I put an I there, there we go. Oops, I don't want to clear. I just want to erase this thing right here. So, now, why does it help to do it this way? Well, because in this piece, or in most all pieces, the melody is going to be a prominent voice. And so, you don't want the bass note to overwhelm that up there. So it's going to have a kind of a different sound. It's not going to be as loud, although it is a long way away from there in terms of the frequency of the note. But these internal ones here, you're going to play those a little softer than the melody, okay? And the bass note, you're going to play a little softer than the melody too. Let that melody ring out. Let's see what else is in here that we need to be aware of real quick. And usually a big thing is the rests that are written. This note right here, we are here. This note lasts for 2 beats, and it gets here and it cuts off. Okay, you got to cut that note off. Now, luckily, you can do that. Well, you just have to cut it off. You can use your thumb, or you might be able to put another finger on there, and you actually can. This note here lasts right to there, and it cuts off. Okay, but you don't have to worry about that one, because this note is also on the 4th string. So when you play that note, it shuts this one off right here. All right, so that's a good deal there. That's good fingering. I don't think it was something that just happened, that it was just happenstance. I think that Michael Lorimer, if he's the one that fingered this piece or arranged it, got it right. Or it could be, Mr. Garcia. All right, we come down here to the 23 and 24. Yet again, this note right here lasts to that rest, and it cuts off. But yet again, you notice this note here is on the 4th string, and this note's on the 4th string. So when you play this note, it shuts it off. Easy peasy, right? Easy peasy. Okay. Now, another thing, be sure you play the rallentando. Make a lot out of it. Don't just make it sound good to you. Make it sound to the audience too. Oh yeah, also, this area up here is mezzo piano, half soft. This is mezzo forte. It's louder. Okay, back to mezzo piano. Make sure you do that. Rallentando down here. Slow down. Really make a lot out of that. When you're headed this direction, make sure they know that your audience knows you're about to end it, and you're going to end it with a rallentando. They'll hear it coming, and actually they'll expect it. They may not know it, but they do. Okay, now we get to this last little thing over here, which is kind of a pet peeve of mine, and that is these fermatas. Okay, and then they've got this rest that's here, right? Okay, with this rest, it's only 1 beat from here to here. There's not a fermata over this rest. Okay, it's over these other 2 notes. And they're not saying that you're going to play this right here and hold it as long as you want, which I generally hold these fermatas until the note just almost dies away. But then you've got another fermata here. Well, this fermata over here, this one, here, okay, it means that you're going to hold these notes, okay, and they're going to continue to sound all the way through. So at this point over here, this is pretty messy, isn't it? At this point over here, you're going to hear all of this together, right? Play these, hold, play this, and hold it until the end, as long as you want. Okay, Now, let me think if there's anything else to talk about in this piece. Oh, yeah. So I could demonstrate this better, I think, if I play the piece. But I will say that, you know, when you're playing a piece many times, many pieces, you should think of like if you were to read poetry, and except in the poetry that you're reading, you have commas and periods. Okay, so a period means you're going to get to the end of the sentence and you're going to pause, right? You're going to pause a lot. And if you have a comma, you're going to pause just a little bit. So if I was to put that into this piece, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, there's actually a comma right here. There's a brief pause. There's a brief pause right here, like a comma. But when you get to this location over here, right here, that is a period. That is, there's a period there. Okay? You're going to pause a lot between that. When you play the last one, you're going to pause. You're going to make a piece of poetry out of this. It's like talking to someone. And now, with that said, the best thing for me to do is just play the piece for you. Thank you, Growly.